asking some questions about his work in New Bilibid Prison.
Hello Rebecca, how are you? I'm glad we got FaceTime. This is, we're introducing a new system, how to have communications without being socially isolated. This is no physical contact, but it's digital, the digital age, is it not?
Yes, and because we're not allowed out of our homes.
Yeah, we're locked down, so we're going to send this video to all over the world. We're going to send it to Vietnam, to Isaac. We're going to send it to William Pollock and all the prisoners in the Philippines. My daughter Ellie and her husband in Dubai, and my granddaughter. Esther in Brighton and my grandson. And David in Gosport. To Michael Evans in the Philippines. Marco in Finland. Anil Anwar in Pakistan. My friends in the USA, and in particular those preterists that are contending for the faith. Malcolm in Aylesbury, those in Luton, and all my contacts on Facebook and YouTube, not forgetting the islanders on the Isle of Wight. God has opened a way, right? Where the world and the devil would try and shut down the way, God has opened up the way for us. Right, so Rebecca, you can carry on and start saying what you've got to say.
So I understand you were invited to speak at the yearly convention of ex-convict prisoners in the Philippines?
Yes, I was. Due to take place this month in Zambales. Now, many former inmates for New Bilibid Prison are registered to attend, but due to the worldwide lockdown, it's been postponed. There we are. Can't go.
How did you feel about that? Were you looking forward to going?
Well, I was disappointed. Yes, I was looking forward to go, but however, there we are. The thing is, we'll get another date later, and if that happens, you can come with me.
I'd love to come.
Would you? Right, okay.
I would love to come.
Good.
Who organised the event and who was invited to go?
Well, it's been organised by William Pollock, who started the conventions 8 years ago, and he's their chairman. Now, those attending to come are from various parts of the Philippines. I was invited because many of the prisoners remember me. That's from 2002, 2003 when I went out there.
So who is William Pollock?
Well, William Pollock is our first Trojan warrior, sent by Trojan Horse International Christian Ministries from New Bilibid Prison. And we sponsored him to go back to his own city in 2002 when he was released in August, to go back to his own city in Baguio and preach the gospel to his family and friends, and in Baguio City Jail and Benguet District Jails. He was released.
How did you get to know him?
Well, I got to know him because he was a prisoner in New Bilibid Prison and he knew Michael. Michael called him Dr. Pollock. That's my brother.
Your doctor?
Yeah, Dr. Pollock, yeah. He was a doctor of souls, that is. When my brother had difficulty in seeking God and learning the way of salvation, William Pollock, or Dr. Pollock, used to help him, giving spiritual medicine. That's what he did. So he helped Michael's quest when he became a Christian in the prison. Now, William has written his own testimony too in our book, Trojan Warriors, which you'll see. It's number 62. Well, we worked together on the project to assist prisoners who have become Christians upon their release so that they could return to their homes and cities, towns and villages to preach the gospel.
Aaron, so how big is New Bilibid Prison? How many prisoners are there?
Well, New Bilibid Prison is the largest prison in the Far East.
Is it?
There are 3 compounds, the maximum, the medium and the minimum compound. And that houses, at the time, over 23,000 inmates. The maximum compound is where my brother was. And inside that maximum compound, there is what they call death row. And there were 1,200 men on death row due to be executed by lethal injection. And that was the prison where we were working. New Bilibid Prison was in fact in the Second World War used by the Japanese as a concentration camp in the Second World War. And that's where Michael was sentenced to a 16-year sentence in 1996.
So when did you go there and did you meet any of these prisoners?
Yes, I did. I went there in 2001 on a mission of help to my brother. When I got news that he'd become a Christian, we were delighted. And I instructed him to be baptised as a Christian and get another prisoner to do it, another Christian prisoner. And that's what they did. He was baptised in an old US Army oil drum. He was baptised and I went on a mission of help. And when we went out there, we not only went to New Bilibid prison, we went to other churches and other prisons in the Philippines. We went to Angeles City, we went to Barreto District Jail, and we preached and spoke to the prisoners. We went to the Benguet District Jails and Baguio City Jail. In New Bilibid prison there are a large number of prisoners who had become Christians. And we have many of their testimonies written in our book and publish it in Trojan Warriors. Michael's testimony is number 41, if you'd like to read it.
So how did Dr. William Pollock get involved with the Convention of Convicts?
Well, William Pollock was a prisoner, and he studied in the prison. When he became a Christian, he got a Bachelor of Arts degree in theology, and he studied for 5 years, and he helped my brother. And upon his release in August 2002, he returned to his own city in Baguio. And Michael and I arranged a bit of support for him to begin the work of evangelising the jails. That's Benguet District Jail and Baguio City Jail. So he helped Michael's quest when he became a Christian in the prison. Now William has written his own testimony too in our book Trojan Warriors, which you'll see. It's number 62. Well, we worked together on the project to assist prisoners who have become Christians upon their release, so that they could return to their homes and cities, towns and villages to preach the gospel. William obtained all the permissions for the Trojan Christian ministry to enter the Benguet City Jail, along with the necessary recommendations to commence the work of evangelisation of the jails, along with the permissions to obtain video footage. And it was in December 2002 that I went out with William and we baptised 22 converted inmates in Baguio District Jail and 9 inmates in Benguet District Jail, and some of those, with William, with his wife and other friends and family that have become Christians.
Wow. So how have things developed, and what is William Pollock doing now?
Well, I've asked William to give a write-up about the things that he's doing. And Michael's last request to William was to write a field manual to train future converted inmates to teach the gospel when they leave prison. And his wife and some of the converts formed a church in Baguio Christ-centred churches, and they've continued the work of evangelism in the prisons of Baguio, and there are now 10 affiliated churches throughout the Philippines and a theological institute where ministers are trained to become pastors.
That's brilliant. Where exactly is Baguio City?
Well, Baguio City is in the mountain province of the Philippines, and many converted ex-prisoners are scattered throughout the Philippines, and they are affiliated with Christ-centred churches.
Do you know any of the former inmates that were involved with Dr. William Pollock and that are connected with Christ-centred churches?
Yes, I do. William has informed me that many of the prisoners, we're going back 18 years now, remember me from going to the prison, and many of them have written their testimonies in the book Trojan Warriors. And if you look at one called Hector Marqueda, his testimony is number 30, and he's connected with William and the work, and I'm looking forward to meet him to get him to give her an update of the work they're doing. So not only that, we'll include their update testimonies in the next book we're going to do when William writes his story.
So I understand you've sent some of your books to William, and there are more to send?
Yes, that's right. When I learned that William had come across some unhelpful teachings in the Philippines and learned of his objectives to teach the gospel faithfully, his soteriology and monergistic theology books were important. So they teach the doctrines of grace, so I decided to send some to help out.
What do you mean by soteriology and monergistic?
Monergistic.
Have I said that right?
Yeah, monergistic. Yeah, well, by soteriology, we mean the doctrine of salvation. And monergistic is that salvation is by grace alone and God must do the work. Man can't save himself, neither does he want to be saved, left to himself, but God works through regeneration, which is an act of God, and men receive the knowledge of salvation and justification by faith alone in the Lord Jesus Christ. So, the doctrines of grace that William teaches, we teach Reformed theology, which is Christian truth, as taught during the Reformation, and which brought deliverance from Roman Catholicism.
What books have you sent William Pollock so far?
Well, in March this year, I republished a special presentation edition of Dr. John Gill's body of doctrinal and practical divinity in 5 volumes and sent them directly to William. They were dedicated to the pastors, teachers and students of Christ-centred churches in the Philippines. And he's recently informed me that there's a theological problem out in the Philippines and he has to face Pelagianism and Arminianism, which is common in America and the UK. The errors which Martin Luther contended against prompted him to write his book, The Bondage of the Will, when opposing Erasmus. So I've just sent him a set of John Gill's books, The Cause of God and Truth. I'll just show them to you on the camera. I don't know whether you can see that. We'll put proper showing of this. There we are. There's the books on the camera. The Cause of God and Truth, that deal with Pelagianism, Arminianism and false doctrine. So Protestant Reformed doctrine of soteriology. There we are. So those are the 4 books gone out there. I've also sent him another book here which will be helpful, because the problem today is with this coronavirus, people talk about the end of the world, the Lord is coming, the rapture and all that business. Okay, well, we sent this book, which is Eschatology, which is a reasonable treatment of eschatology. In Matthew Gospels, that's why we're studying it in our studies, has been fulfilled already in 70 AD. That's actually in this book here called The Parousia. Very helpful. Eschatology, by the way, is end-time theology.
Okay, I guess that. So, can anyone else get copies of these books? Are they available?
Yes, I can. All the books that that we send and help people with, I have republished. They're mine, right? They are available from Amazon.co.uk, Amazon.com, worldwide. You can have a paper copy, you can have ebook, you can have a PDF copy from our website, freely, if you ask me. So that this will help people in Finland. That's Marcus. You're going to listen to this, Marcus. Anil, you in Pakistan, and for Isaac as well, because he's a bit truculent and difficult, but he needs to read these things. And also we'll send them to Ellie across in Dubai. And anyone else that is listening to this, you can give me a call and we'll send you copies of these books by PDF. If you want a hard copy, you have to get it from Amazon, because I can't afford to print them for you. But you can. I mean, I've made them so cheap. People can't compete with my values. Anyway, there we are. So they're available.
So, are these things being taught by William?
Well, yes, they are. That's correct. And they were the things that I learned very soon when I became a Christian, as it was for me in the beginning, over 50 years ago. The doctrines of grace kept me on the straight and narrow. They helped the criminals in New Believer Prison. The doctrines of grace glorify God. For salvation is through and by the Lord Jesus Christ. They help my brother too, and also William. We're now promoting the doctrines of grace throughout the Philippines. Glory be to God.
Excellent. We hope we can go soon.
Well, if we go, we've been invited to go and speak in all the 10 churches.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think that when you go, you've got to be scriptural about where you stay. You stay wherever you're offered accommodation, right? Not the hotel. Not any. There might be rats in the room. But you'll be very.
I've travelled around Asia and I stayed in the cheapest possible place. And I said to myself, I couldn't do it again. I may as well
couldn't.
bit more.
Couldn't. No. Listen. If the door is opened up for you to stay, and it's reasonable, then
when I say bad places,
yeah, but you didn't go on a Christian mission, did you?
with rats.
Rats are God's creatures.